Welcome back to The Person That Everyone Needs. My name is Webb Hoggard, and today we're going to talk about teamwork. Over the last several weeks, we've been talking about leadership traits. We've talked about servant leadership. We've talked about visionary leadership. We've talked about courageous leadership. We've talked about communicative leadership, being a good communicator. We've talked about principled leadership, and this week we're going to talk about collaborating, being a person who is a good teammate. It is important that you understand nothing significant has ever been done alone. As I open today, I want to read a psalm to you. Psalm 133 says, "Behold, how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell in unity. It's like precious oil on the head, running down on the beard of Aaron, running down on the collar of his robes. It is like the dew of Hermon, which falls on the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord has commanded the blessing of life forevermore." 133 reminds us that there is something special when people get together, when they're unified together to accomplish something significant. Teamwork, to be really cheesy, teamwork makes the dream work. It's the truth. We need people around us. You've got to learn how to work with other people if you're going to do anything significant. An essential part of leadership is that of working with others. You look at Scripture and you see Jesus, when he came, yes, he came to build a church. He came to save our souls. He was wonderful with the masses, but Jesus focused on the 12, and the 12 turned the world upside down. David was a great warrior, but he was surrounded by 30 mighty men, and they were all chronicled before he passed away. Moses was an incredible man of God. No one had ever known the power until the point of Moses' life like Moses did. And yet Moses needed 70 other men to help him undertake the leadership of the nation of Israel. Paul had Barnabas, he had Silas, he had Timothy, he had people around him. And so you need a team. You need to know how to be on a team in order to accomplish great things. The church is a great place to find that level of connection. Hebrews chapter 10, verses 24 and 25 says, "Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another." Remember, encouraging means putting my heart in your chest. Like, I often need somebody to come alongside of me and say, "Webb, you can do this. You can make it. You know what the right thing to do is. You can't give up." Then it ends with, "And all the more as you see the day approaching." The day of Christ, the day of God, the day of his return is coming closer. We must be encouraging, spurring one another on to love and good deeds. And the more you can focus on getting others around you, the more possible it's going to be for you to make it to the end. I'll never forget the lady named Naomi Denton. She was one of the greatest women I've ever met in my life. She was my pastor's wife. And when I became an associate pastor later in my life, her son was my pastor at that point. And so here she is. She's probably in her 80s. And we were asking for prayer requests at the end of a service one time. She raised her hand, stood up, and she said, "I pray that I remain faithful and make it to the end." And my thought was, if this woman doesn't know if she's going to make it to the end, I don't have a chance, because Miss Naomi was one of the greatest women I ever knew. But I understand now what she was actually saying. No matter how good you are, no matter how faithful you've been, you are only as safe as the faithfulness of this moment. And so she was saying, I want to make it to the end. And what I know about her is that she made it to the end because she had people around her that were encouraging her regularly. And that's why she was asking for prayer in that moment, is because she wanted to be built up and continue to be reminded of what matters most is making it to Jesus. You need group around you. If you want to accomplish anything great in this life, you need people around you. I told you the story of the Holy Club, where George Whitefield and John Wesley were together in college together, and that group of people, they turned the world upside down in the 1700s with the Methodist revival. The Clapham sect was William Wilberforce's group of guys that, it wasn't just guys, it was women too, but that group is who overturned slavery in Great Britain. That small group changed the world. I think about the group in Silicon Valley. I mean, my goodness, has that group of people, those computer technicians, have they not changed the scope of what the world is? Over and over again, you can see a small group of people changing the way things are done. The game, you look at basketball or football, there's a small group of people that will try something new and it revolutionizes the game. You look at the Golden State Warriors, they have changed the way basketball is being played. You could look the same thing as Bill Belichick. His quick screen mentality, and I'm not saying it originated with him, but he has absolutely changed the game. You can be a great champion. Tom Brady, who is at the top of almost every one of the all-time lists, most of his passes were screens and quick shots on the side, and they have absolutely changed the game. Look at the story of Moses. Moses had to be convinced to get a team around him. Some of us want to do it alone, or we don't feel like we're capable of having other people in our life to help us. Moses had to be, his father-in-law told him, it's not good what you're doing. Listen to me. If you're doing anything of significance, if you're doing it alone, that's not good. What happens when you're done? What happens when you stop? It means that thing stops. You need to have other people around you. You've got gifts, no matter who you are. You've got understandings of things that you need other people. I try to tell people all the time, don't do anything alone. Don't do anything alone. One of my personal things I remind myself, I've told you before, but is time with is never time wasted. I want people around me, and I've got to remind myself how important that is. Peter once said, "Why should I stop ministry to wait tables?" Peter had a team of deacons that came around to help him do those things. And it was 7 men who were competent. They were spiritually filled with the Holy Spirit, and they were influencers in the church. That team ended up doing incredible ministry. A revival took place because those men were faithful. One was a martyr, and the other one was Philip, and he absolutely took the gospel to a whole nother level by taking it into Samaria. Patrick Lencioni, who is one of the greatest leadership book, business guys, whatever, he says teamwork remains the ultimate competitive advantage. If you don't understand why it's so important to have a team around you, then it's time to wake up, because it is seen that teamwork is what really makes things happen. Mother Teresa once said, "I can do things that you cannot. You can do things that I cannot. And together we can do great things." You need a group of people around you. So here's some principles of teamwork. Andy Stanley says, only do what only you can do. Only do what only you can do. A lot of times we try to be the multifaceted, I can do it all, but teams work better when you let those who are gifted to do the thing do their thing, and you do the thing that you're supremely gifted to do. Here's another one. What drains you energizes someone else. Often you will find that the thing that you hate the most, you'll try to take on yourself, but it's something that actually blesses somebody else. So be looking for their gifts. Here's one more. Delegation elevates others and alleviates you. Delegation is helpful. It's a blessing. So working together, it's going to take unity and diversity, and that's what you need. You need a diverse group of people who have different gifts and be working together against a common enemy. The 3 things that makes a great team is unity, diversity, and adversity. You need a common enemy, something you're trying to conquer. So these are 3 things that will help you in building a team. Number 1, commitment. We must put aside personal interest for the betterment of the group. You've got to be willing to put aside your own preferences so that you can connect to somebody else. Commit through the good and bad, end things on a good note. If you have to leave a group, don't leave while things are bad. Make sure that things get back to the good place before you leave somebody. Be committed. Here's the second part, trust. Without conflict, we cannot grow. We must be strong enough to handle disagreements. I don't spar with people I don't trust. I want to trust people. I like to we can't make good decisions and we can't understand great things if we don't take time to have conflict. We need to trust one another. Conflict is a sign of health. Be clear about your expectations. The third thing is accountability. Bill Parcells, the great football coach, said, confrontation clears the air. I love that. Sometimes we just need to confront one another. Confrontation, Jesus' way, was to go to someone alone, then to bring along a friend, and then take it to the group. It's not holy to let people get away with harmful behavior. We often think that that's what grace is. Grace is not letting people get away with it. Jesus said, go and sin no more. It's righteous to cover a sin. It is not righteous to cover a habit. If someone failed, yes, you should cover that up. But if someone is regularly on purpose harming other people, that is not righteous to cover that up. We need to hold each other accountable. We have to confront. So here's some questions for you. Are you good at working with people? Do you delegate your weaknesses? What do you need to get better at teamwork? Commitment? Trust? Accountability? Do you need to let other people hold you accountable? Who has taken time to mentor you? And who are you mentoring? If you want to live a life of significance, you need these people in your life. Remember, time with is never time wasted. And the person who collaborates with the team, well, is a person everyone needs.